good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on where in the world you are joining me from. I am 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐈𝐍, and this is the Crypto and Cognac podcast show, as always, every Thursday, 7 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time sharp, right here on YouTube. And as always, if I'm here, Henny Daya, right? Guys, today we are talking about President Donald Trump. He has been a key fixture in this season's podcast, of course, because the guy has a big personality, one thing that cannot be denied. And today we are talking about his growing crypto and blockchain empire, right? It's just interesting that today, when we plan to talk about President Donald Trump, he's in the news with his good buddy Elon Musk creating waves. It seems like there's a bit of a spat between friends, but friends are allowed to have little disagreements. And if you check my social media, you will see my recommendation for how they should fix it. Of course, it has something to do with Hennessy, right? Guys, today was a long day that is not yet done. So I'm going to be a little bit more sparing with my Hennessy consumption, right? So I've agreed to only have one drink of Hennessy. And because my hand a little heavy and I pour a little heavy, I've agreed to use this as a means of measurement, right? But the problem is we have two different sizes, right? So which one is a drink? Is it this one or is it this one? Is this a drink and a half? Is this a drink? Anyway, I have a long evening. I have plenty of work to do. So I will cave in to my conservative mindset and I will pour myself a drink of Hennessy. All right? What's that? What's that? How that's supposed to keep me going? Right? Anyway, cheers to life. Cheers to another week on Satoshi's Earth. Right? How can I say cheers and don't take a drink? That's bad luck. So before we jump into it, as always, housekeeping. I am a Hennessy consuming crypto fan. Okay? I am not a financial advisor, which makes this not a financial advisory podcast. So nothing that I share here this evening, last evening, or any evening to come should be misconstrued as financial advice, right? Shout out to everybody in the comments. Nooms, what's up? I see you here bright and early checking in, right? So, like I said, today we're talking about the big man in the business, Donald J, right? You know what's interesting is that Trump's change of perspective around crypto is being talked about not just in crypto spheres, but it's also being talked about in political spheres. And it is likely going to impact because of political history. And I think going forward, there is no way that crypto does not maintain a place as a significant talking point across multiple election campaigns. So that's one way that he's already impacted things. But remember, President Trump wasn't always a fan of crypto, right? Back in 2019, he was a bit of a skeptic. He actually tweeted that I am not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Now, that was 2019. We're in 2025. As someone who was himself a huge crypto skeptic, right? I cannot dump on President Trump for changing his perspective, right? At the end of the day, a man who can change his perspective is a man who has shown growth, right? So I'm going to give him some grace. I'm going to give him some allowance. Maybe someone got to him, was able to educate him on the value proposition, or maybe he just had opportunity to make some money. I don't know. I don't live in the man's brain, so I can't make those decisions. What we can talk about is what we do know about, and that is the fact that President Trump and his family are building quite the extensive empire around cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, right? The most notable, Trump coin, which was launched January 17th of this year, 2025. And in very, very short order, right, it soared to a market capitalization of 27 billion Bitcoin, right? And it significantly boosted President Trump's net worth. Why? Because of the supply of 1 billion coins, 200 million were released to the public, while 800 million remaining coins remain under the control of Trump-affiliated entities. Maybe not the president himself, but between his son, his companies, his different interests, a significant portion, 4/5 of the total supply, still remains in his control. In terms of controversies which have arisen out of it, the coin has been used for fundraising events, right? Such as a dinner where investors spent approximately 148 million Trump coins. And that's dollars worth of Trump coins, and not just Trump coins, dollars worth of Trump coins to be able to attend to have a private dinner with the president, right? So he continues to earn and benefit from it. Trump coin, that is. Next up, Trump Media and Trump Technology Group. They have recently announced that they will be embracing Bitcoin. And the way they have chosen to do this is that Truth Social Bitcoin ETF, right? So TMTG has filed to launch its own Bitcoin ETF, aiming to directly hold Bitcoin and offer investors exposure through traditional markets, right? The company announced also its plans to raise approximately $2.5 billion to invest in Bitcoin, positioning itself among the top corporate holders of cryptocurrency. Now, in terms of collaborations for this, it's expected that Crypto.com and Yorkville Advisors are going to play a central role in TMTG's crypto initiative. Next up, World Liberty Financial, or WLF. Some people might say WTF, but no, WLF, which was established in October last year and is a decentralized financial platform spearheaded by President Trump's two sons, Eric and Donald Trump Jr. World Liberty Financial introduced its own token, right? WLFI, which facilitates various crypto transactions. The Trump sons are actively involved in WLF, distinguishing it from other ventures that have faced internal disputes over branding. The brothers have stuck together on most issues, and most recently, with the announcement of an official Trump coin wallet, they stepped forward to make a very public denial that it had nothing to do with them. They also threatened legal action against whoever is behind this official Trump wallet, because those people are using their name in a way that may bring it into disrepute, right? Now, critics of Trump, which there are many, I have been one for a long, long time, and I continue to be, right? Argue that Trump's dual role as president and crypto entrepreneur presents a significant conflict of interest, especially with policies that could benefit him and his family directly, right? That doesn't change. But the fact is, we all knew and know who President Trump is. I mean, he does not pretend to be anything other than what he is. And bro is doing what he has to do. At least he's not lying to us like the other party, right? I don't know. I don't know which is better. We between a rock and a hard D. Anyway, but Trump has made his shifted position on Bitcoin and crypto very clear. He, in January this year, also signed an executive order 14178, titled the Strengthening American Leadership in Digital Financial Technology. And this order revoked previous directives to prohibited the establishment of a CBDC, a central bank backed digital currency, which we, of course, we celebrate as purists in the blockchain space, as decentralized purists, I should say. And it also established a group which was asked to propose a federal regulatory framework for digital assets, right, in 180 days. So President Trump, like I said, has been very clear within recent time about his position. I think what we are seeing is his influence across the space continue to grow. His influence using his Truth Social platform, and now leveraging that platform to drive an ETF, a Bitcoin ETF. His advocacy for a crypto strategic reserve for the United States, which we've already seen a few states roll those out. And by all means, we expect that Trump and everything that he says will continue to significantly impact and influence the crypto market, and any market for that matter. I mean, just like I said, today, him and Elon having their very public disagreement has impacted the Tesla shares significantly. We saw a 15% drop in Tesla shares. So whatever he says is going to have an impact. So I hope the crypto bros are watching what is taking place with this spat between Elon, and y'all might have to continue to kiss the ring, right? Because do war with Trump, right? He's not that guy. He's not tech chat, right? So let's see if President Trump is going to stick to his guns. Let's see what his continued influence in the market looks like. Let's see what's next for his team, his family, his group. We didn't even really touch on Melania's token. I think his son, what's his younger son's name? Anyway, his youngest son had a token too. So what's next, right? We've heard that some of his businesses are going to start accepting Bitcoin. So we never know. But what is clear is that he has no intentions on slowing down in terms of the expansion of his crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin invested empire. So he might become one of the largest legacy wealth earners during his presidential tenure, if he's not already, right? I mean, let's not pretend that presidents don't set themselves up financially for after their term in office, you know, these $500,000 speaking engagements, let's not pretend like we don't know what those are. But Trump is the first to really do it in a way that, you know, he not mixing matters. He not pretending to be anything else. Yes, Baron, thank you, Nooms. Baron is his son's name. So we don't expect that to slow down. This is year one. We've not even 200 days in. We have 4.5 more years to go. Yeah, Trump about to run up the numbers. He about to run up the numbers, bro. So we're gonna be here. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna chat about it. But one thing is key, is for sure. Donald Trump is going to continue to grow his wealth during the course of this presidential tenure, right? So maybe you might want to check in and follow suit with what he's doing, right? No, say he's 78, done control the purse. It's very possible. I mean, it's very possible, but it means that he trusts his sons. You know, I mean, a lot of people not listening to their kids. It's have a lot of boomers who kids been telling them about Bitcoin for years and they ain't moving, right? They're not using their $20 paycheck, far less their $1 billion empire. Maybe they don't have the influence to move the market like Trump does, but the fact of the matter is that bro has put his mouth and put his actions behind his mouth. I mean, he could have changed his tune once he got into government, but he continues to be a supporter. He continues to be an advocate. He hasn't shifted his position just yet, and it continues to benefit him and his family in a major way. Shout out to him. You understand? It is what it is. But whether Trump, whether hump, whether dump, adoption is inevitable, right? Illuminati out. Guys, thank you as always for being with me. Continue to have a blessed Tuesday. See you guys next week. Hopefully your bags are pumped by then. We're on a little bit of a correction, 102, but it is what it is. Do your thing. Do your own research. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Illuminati out. Be blessed. Shout out to everyone in the comments.